Hey y'all, Billy from Permapastures Farm. Alrighty, we got another good one for you, and hopefully they're all good for you. But first, look behind me. What do you see? That was all that nasty thorn, thicket, and what has it been replaced with? What has it been overthrown? What is the new weed regime that doesn't exist there? It's actually a very productive regime. Those are buckwheat and cowpea, and then flying up right out of the middle of it is all of our productive trees, okay? That's really not what that video is about, but I'm standing here, so it only makes good sense to talk about it. So this is a lot of what you're gonna see in that swale class. You're gonna see how to replicate what we have going on here. By the way, tickets are getting real low on that swale class. So at the end of July, we got a link down below, July 30th and 31st, bam, at SOE, it's on. We're gonna show you how to do all this and how to replicate everything you see right here. It's gonna be in a different place, obviously, but it's still the same principles. Also, don't forget to check out the podcast we got out. It's called the Permaculture Pimpcast, and it's probably the best of its kind out there because there ain't nobody else called the Permaculture Pimpcast, you dig? Okay, we also got coffee down below, but we'll talk about that later. What you see in this bucket here, especially this one, is not poop, okay? That's actually comfrey, but it smells like poop. Sorry, I don't mean to get disgusting, but that's exactly when you make comfrey tea and you let it sit for a while, that's exactly what it's gonna be like. Well, we did a video not long ago talking about the beginnings of it, all the wonderful uses of comfrey. And this is one of the many, many, many uses of it. So all we did with all the comfrey that was in there, covered it with water, let it sit, best if you put a lid on it. But a little side note, every dog we have is coming, despite how disgusting this stuff smells, every dog has been drinking out of this stuff, you dig? So maybe Dr. Wallach, you remember that that naturopath and veterinarian who said what he noticed in Africa was that all the animals would go to the dirty watering holes. And why? Because that's where all the minerals were. Maybe the dogs know something you and I don't necessarily know. So all we do is basically take all that stuff that was sitting in these buckets, run it through a paint strainer. This is a 5-gallon paint strainer. Strain it out, and don't put your hands in anybody's face because honestly, you can wash it off, but the stink stays for a while. I would have been better to have some rubber gloves out here, but hey, in the words of a not so wise ghetto philosopher, it do what it do. So what we're gonna do at this point, we got it all strained out. I'm just gonna dump it down in here into this refuse bucket. And that's where all the stuff, if I can ever get it out of there, that's where basically all that stuff goes that we're gonna compost. Now, it doesn't have to be composted. I can literally take that stuff, put it on, let's say that fig there, the apple, that pear, that peach. I could put it right on top of any one of those. Or I could use it as an activator in my compost piles. That's the beauty of permaculture, y'all, is that there's not just one singular use for anything. There's multiple uses for everything, or at least there should be. All right, so now that that's done, what we're gonna do next, and this is gonna be Michelle, because she doesn't trust me to do it. You believe that? She's gonna mix it 15 to 1 and then pour it, you know, all over her vegetable gardens over there. You could even do the same with your trees. Here's what else you can do, and we've done it before. You could strain it even more, put it in a pump sprayer, same ratio, 15 to 1, and use it as a foliar spray, okay? You can do it that way. And there's a little side note. Every month during the warmer months, I usually take the pump sprayer anyway, fill it up with organic milk, 50-50 with organic milk and distilled water, put it together, and I spray all the leaves of everything I want sprayed. Another little trick I got from Mr. Subkoviak, and what does it do? It doesn't kill anything. All it does is promote the good bacteria and fungus that you have out there to outcompete the bad. So if you got any fungus problems, you might consider giving that a shot, okay? But you can also do the same with your comfrey tea. I mean, folks, it's beautiful. There's so many awesome ways in which we can combat the problems we're having out there that don't require going to the powers that shouldn't be. You dig what I'm saying? All right, so with that said, Michelle's gonna go ahead and take this stuff. We're gonna dilute it, and then it's off to the races. This, folks, this is why we sell this comfrey. We use it, we feed it to pigs, we feed it to chickens, feed it to the sheep. We make this stuff out of it. We put it as a mulch ring around our trees, every last one of these trees. We'll chop and drop it, put it around those. We don't just sell this stuff and give you false claims and false hype. We don't have to. This stuff is legit, and we use it all the time. So with that said, it's time to go ahead and get hopping and popping.
All right, so we're using this Comfrey tea that's been diluted, and I'm just gonna water I've got some okra plants growing here and some beans. And especially with younger plants, just make sure you don't use it. Just make sure you dilute it well, because the full strength of it is too much for the small plants.
Make a muscle, honey.
Ow. And my horseradish.
So we're going to need to make more. In fact, we need some of this stuff for a whole bunch of reasons. Number one, the pigs are up there in the woods, so they're going to want some. We've been making comfrey salve. Well, that requires some comfrey leaves. Cool thing, the best thing and the easiest thing in the world to use are these rice knives we were selling. We'll make some more. But look, the point is, we got a bunch going on here with this comfrey, okay? One of them being, is you see these sweet potatoes up here. William had this great idea. He's thinking, and he even talked about it in the podcast, that he didn't think it was such a swell idea, interplanting the comfrey along with the sweet potatoes. Now, one tact I think I would have made if I were, the one doing the experiment, would have been to put the roots in and give a head start on the sweet potatoes so they could be off and running long before that comfrey decided to come up. We don't yet know if this thing is going to be a success or not, but at least we're going to find out. So anyway, this is how we can get those. You can literally tear the leaves off. Just makes it a lot. You can literally pull them up if you want to, break them off. You can do it that way. It just makes, this makes it 10 times easier in my view. So here it is. Look, we got these sweet potatoes off doing their thing. Now we created a little daylight for them. We're going to do the same thing down here. So now, before it's all said and done, I'll fill up this bucket, okay? So that gives me options. Those options being that I can sit here, give them to one of the animals. I could dress the trees behind me. I can go ahead and make some more comfrey tea, which is, you're never going to not need that kind of stuff, especially in this world where we got nitrogen issues everywhere. So right now, that's all we're going to do. That's it in a nutshell. All right, y'all, so now that I got this bucket full, all we'll do is go back there. We got well water, so we don't have to worry about any chlorine or fluoride or anything like that. We'll just literally pack this thing plumb full, fill it up with water, let it sit, strain it, and then you're off to the races. There you go, in a nutshell. All right, so here's what's left over after we strain it, okay? So here's one of the many things you can do. Now you're probably thinking, gee, dude, you got comfrey blowing up right here next to it. Well, we can do it all if you want to. In fact, whenever I try to, believe it, this came from one of the viewers out there, and it was a great idea, where I would basically take this stuff, chop and drop it, lay it on top. Perfectly fine. No reason you can't do that. But and I wish I could remember your name, bro. I don't remember who you were, but you gave me the idea, and it's your intellectual property. So I want to give you a shout out. Even though I don't know who you are or remember your name, it's been a long time ago. We found out that it works even better if you can chop and drop this. It's not necessary, but if you can chop and drop it and then put a carbon layer above it, worms are going to roll in like nobody's business. So all I'm going to do, my hands are already stinking anyway. Looks like I played water polo in a septic tank. So I can literally just slop this stuff up there. Remember, don't try to mix it in. Just slop it up there. See that little slime? Just put it on the mulch ring like that. And then you'll notice when it dries out, it'll become hard. And then sooner or later, it's leaching down through there, even if it rains. So I'll go ahead and hit everything else. You can even kick it off a little bit more and cut off these leaves here. That's part of the reason why we grow so much comfrey in very close proximity to all of our fruit trees. Because if you do it right, you'll never have to mulch again. If you grow this much comfrey, we got mullein up there, black locust over there, volunteer, buckwheat and cowpea everywhere. But you know what you don't see? You don't see what many people call weeds. There's a reason for that, and that's what we're teaching in that class. All right, let me go ahead and do the rest of them. All right, that's a wrap. Bam, bucket of comfrey leaves. So many options, but this here can be more comfrey tea. I mean, it's really, these are the solutions we have got to be using in today's day and age where supply lines are weird, everything's weird. Look, there's no need for me to go into it. I mean, there's no shortage of people out there telling you just how weird it is, and they're right. It's just we're not doing a whole lot of covering of it. Here's one of the solutions, one of many, many solutions. So literally, fill this up with water, let it sit, strain it, mix it 15-to-1, and you're off to the races. It doesn't get any easier than that, and you're gonna see a big difference. All right, if you need comfrey, world's best deer repellent, bone sauce, we're gonna be doing another video on that coming up soon. It's all down below. Also, don't forget about that hollow roast coffee. It is the shiznit, y'all. There's a lot of different ways we can go out there and get the things we need, but I am going to do exactly what I said I was going to do, where everything I can possibly source from the people around me or you, that's exactly where I'm going. I'm not going to keep giving my money to the box stores for everyday things that I know somebody out there is making. So I invite you to do the very same thing. All right, y'all. Till next time, this is Billy from Permapastures Farm, where permaculture is my passion. We'll see you next time.